children will take a message in a bottle directly to assembly members, and they are BPA-free bottles. This is a no-brainer. Over 220 peer-reviewed studies report that BPA has been linked to a host of problems, including brain and developmental damage, breast cancer, early puberty, obesity, diabetes, and hyperactivity, and autism. Did you know that 1 out of every 150 children born in California today have an autism-related disorder? But the opposition, and the well-funded opposition it is, led by the chemistry industry, is spending millions of dollars to defeat this measure, not only in California, but in other states as well. They have employed more than a dozen lobbyists to kill this bill. This has become a real David and Goliath fight. This makes my past efforts in taking on the oil companies to clean our air and pass clean car legislation seem relatively easy in comparison. High-paid chemical lobbyists are trying to create confusion and doubt. It reminds me of those past battles to determine if secondhand smoke or lead in paint was harmful. In 2004, the governor signed my bill to take mercury out of children's vaccines. Alternative vaccines were available, just like alternative BPA-free products are available. And as a precaution, the legislature here in California voted for the children over the opposition of the powerful pharmaceutical companies. We can pass this bill. Now is the time to act on BPA. For each year we delay, over 550,000 babies will be born in California who will needlessly be exposed to the health risks posed by this toxic chemical. Did you know that Canada, Minnesota, and Connecticut, and more than 20 other cities and counties have already enacted bans on BPA? We can't wait. Please help me and urge the Assembly to support Senate Bill 797 when we take up the vote during the next few weeks. Now I'd like to introduce some of our guest speakers here today. First of all, Dr. Alan Green, world-renowned pediatrician. Dr. Green?
What a beautiful day for change. And how appropriate that we're on the steps of the California State Capitol, because the medical research uncovering the problems with BPA started right here in California. One of my colleagues at Stanford University was studying yeast in his lab. And he observed something kind of interesting, surprising, that the yeast was making sex hormones, or at least it looked that way. And the closer he looked, the more puzzling this got, until he finally realized something shocking. The yeast weren't making sex hormones. It was the plastic flask, the clear plastic flask that was leaking the hormones into the liquid the yeast was growing in. And that was the beginning, almost 15 years ago, of the research into the problems of BPA. Unwittingly, all of us in the last generation have been part of an experiment, really the same experiment, where BPA, the same artificial sex hormone, has been leaking from containers into our bodies, into the liquids we drink and the foods we eat, so that today 90 to 95% of us have this artificial sex hormone in our bodies. And there have been numerous studies now that have very concerning studies linking this to the things you might expect: early puberty, breast cancer, prostate cancer, changes in the brain that affect our development and behavior. Now, if babies and toddlers were exposed to the same chemical at the same level that we're exposed to it, you would expect the damage to be worse, the risk to be higher. You would expect lifelong changes to be present in their prostate glands, in their breasts, in their ovaries, in their uterus, and in their brains if they were exposed at the same levels you and I are. But they're not. Today in the United States, babies and toddlers on average are exposed to up to 11 times the levels that we are. Up to 11 times. And where's it coming from? It's coming from bottles and sippy cups. It's coming from the containers in which we store